Hello, you guys. Okay, so I am sorry for being late. I've been here the whole time, but for some reason, StreamYard did not want to play nice today, and that's okay. And my setup is so weird. So you're going to get like big talking head today. Hopefully, this is going to work. I'm going to have to like look at you, but then also look at the comments. So this is not going to be a great audio visual. However, the content I think is going to be awesome. I'm hoping. So, welcome to the Friendly Show. I'm your host and friend, Leigh. I really hope that some of you guys are still here and were patient with me during this time because your participation in the show is my absolute favorite. This is a show for you, by you, and me, your friend, Leigh. So if this is your first time listening to the show, I'm just going to do a really quick, let you know what it's all about because it is different than most podcasts. This really is, it's a live show. And in the future, will I do shows that are not live? Potentially. But for right now, we meet every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, or whatever the equivalent is for you. And we meet on YouTube or Twitch. And if you're listening to this in the audio version, that's great. That works. You're still going to be able to hear it, but it may get a little bit squirrely because what happens is when you're here watching it live and you come up with a comment like this, okay, here we go, because this is my favorite part. Let me just remove this. Okay, I don't know what's happening here. We're going to see, but Ed is in the house. Hello, Ed. So if you were watching this live or even in the replay on YouTube or Twitch, well, I don't know if Twitch has, I'm still learning Twitch. But on YouTube, when you watch the replay, you'll see that Ed's comment is right there and it's live. So if you're listening to this in the audio version, it may be a little bit bouncy for you, but if you can follow, then great. I'm really glad that you're here. And Pops is here. Hey, Britt, morning to you too. And so this is the way that I like to describe the show. Imagine that I invited you over to my house and this background is like a generic background that I used in 2020 for all of my Zoom meetings in the very beginning. I don't know why. It's because I didn't really know how to upload anything, and it was like one of them that came standard. So I liked it for today because it was easy. I couldn't find the friend one that I had last week. So this was actually kind of perfect. So I want you to picture that you were invited over to my house. And maybe you brought a friend with you, which I love when people bring new people into the show. Mel, she invited her husband, and now sometimes her husband's here when she's not even here. And it's really, really cool. So if you have friends that you think would dig the show as much as you are, please invite them. So imagine us sitting on that couch all together and, or on this couch or in the chair, or we're all in my living room having a conversation. If you've ever had a conversation with me, and especially this episode, you're getting to see that live in person, that I do have ADHD and sometimes I will be a little bit squirrel mode. So the conversation may jump around, and it's meant to have just a conversation style. So, but what I like to do is have it that every month we have a theme. And so our theme this month is all about our stories. So the narratives, the stories that we tell ourselves and that we're living into, the stories we want to tell ourselves and we want to live into. And then what I do is every week, I take our happy acronym. So if you're with us over on Facebook, also guys, Pops is here and he says, I call the recliner. Okay, you get it. You guys, is the volume is this okay? Because I feel like my voice might not be great in this today. Just let me know, Ed and Britt, what you guys think. Give me a minute because I got notes and I just want to go and grab them. So, because I'm really, really excited about this episode. So what we're doing is the topic or the theme for the month is our stories. But then every week we focus on one of the pillars of the happy acronym that we have over on our Facebook page. I hope that you're there. If you're not, come on over. It's really easy to kind of get a part of that. It's free, obviously. It's really just a community that we're building over there. I can't remember how many people we have, but quite a few. We got a big friend circle going on over there. And awesome. Okay. Ed says it's fine for me. And Britt says, sounds great. Okay. Awesome. Thanks, guys. So What was I saying? Okay. So then what we do is we take one pillar from every one of from the happy acronym, and each week we talk about it. So happy stands for health. And what this is these are all pillars in which we can find areas of our life to find happy moments in. Can we be happy every single moment of our life? It depends on how you define that. But things will come up that are shitty news, or shitty circumstances that you have to deal with. Like right now, Mike and I are dealing with some not great news from friends and family. And, but does that mean that we have to be, upset and sad and in mourning, every moment of the day? No, we get to have moments that we can cling to fuel our heart and to fuel our happiness. So, Ed says, I thought you had no furniture. What a beautiful piano. It's true. We are going to be furniture shopping this weekend, hopefully. But let's pretend that this is my place. Isn't that cute? Although I will say my view is better than this view. So, there's that. Okay. So here's what the happy acronym is for those of you that are new to the Friendly Show. I made it up. I wanted to find, I'm a happiness coach, and don't run away. We don't do any coaching in this group, although I feel like we kind of do. And sometimes you do with me. I learn from you guys all the time. And that's why I love having a live stream. So I wanted to come up with an acronym of ways that we could look at our day and structure our day in order to find these happy moments. And so those areas are, H is for health. A is for affection for ourselves. How do we show ourselves that we love ourselves? P is for purpose, and how do we live into that? The other P is for partnerships or relationships that we're building, both our warm relationships with those that are close to us, and then also our relationships with those that we're just in contact with or even passing by. And then Y is youthfulness. So what I do is I combine the health and affection for ourselves, because that's really about ourselves. And so we do that in week 1 of each month. And then in week 2, we talk about purpose and how the theme relates to our purpose. And that's what we're doing this week. And then we do, partnerships. And then the last week we do youthfulness. And if there are 5 Wednesdays in a month, then we'll do a bonus episode where we kind of do just like rapid fire questions to get to know the people in the living room. So it's pretty fun. We did that last month and it was a lot of fun. And actually it was so fun that we've incorporated that portion into every show. And so now at the end of the show, normally we record for about 45 minutes to an hour. So now around the 45-minute, 50-minute mark, what we do is we do a question or like a rapid fire kind of thing where we get to know each other on just a different level. So you'll be able to just answer those questions there. Britt says, it's not coaching when equals discuss among themselves, but one can so easily be coached by just being here. Sorry for missing last week. I really missed you last week. But yes, you're absolutely right. It's not really coaching. And that's why I want to find, you guys help me, please find a different word that I can use for my services that I offer. So I do offer like coaching services, accountability, masterminds, all these kinds of things. But I really don't like the word coaching because I don't think I am coaching you, but I don't think that I'm really coaching you. I feel like it really is a friend in your corner that's just helping you see life in a different way or being like holding you accountable. So I know that there's a word. It's not like mentor. It's not coach. There's got to be another word. And I've been racking my brain. So if you guys can help me with that, that would be awesome. I would really, really appreciate it because I'm really going to start marketing that in the coming months. And I just want to use a word that really makes people feel what they'll actually be getting. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, Britt says also a sharing facilitator. Yeah, that's a good one. Facilitator is kind of how I thought too, like a sharing facilitator. I kind of like that, but I don't think more of a marketing standpoint. Like how would I put that in a Canva, like in an Instagram photo kind of thing? So I just want something quick. Anyway, this is how you guys get to know me. I'm just like heart on my sleeve. Here's what's going on. And we'll just, I'm not too proud to say like, I'm kind of detouring or pivoting, as they say. And I'd love your help because I want to know like how the words that you use matter. And I'd love to know your thoughts on that. So let's see here. So Ed says, and sorry for me looking this way, but I've got to read them and then I'll look back at you and we'll discuss it. Okay. So Ed says, regarding difficult times that make me sad, I allow myself a set time to be sad, mad, frustrated, or even the victim. Then I go on with the rest of the day happier. That's awesome. You've told me that before, and I really like that. I have been one of the things that I've realized that I've done naturally, and that's why I've gotten through a lot of my grieving, a lot of my hard times. I used to think, oh my gosh, maybe I just push this stuff down. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I do push things down and I'm not, perfect. Mike hates it when I say that because he's like, nobody's perfect. But like, yeah, I'm just not perfect. And so I'm always working on all this kind of stuff. But I think what my thing is that like when I lose somebody, I grieve hard in the beginning. Like I let myself feel all the feelings. I cry. It's like the snotty, gross cry that's like not pretty crying. I really do try to go to the funerals. I want to be there with the family. Like I dive deep into it during that week that we got the news. And or when I'm going through something that's, hard, I go right into it. And then when I'm at work, then I'm at work. And then when I'm with my friends, I'm with my friends. We're doing the thing. When I'm on the show, when I'm on the podcast, I'm on the show. And I've cried with you guys before. But being in the moment helps me get out of those moments. But I do like the fact that you said like you kind of time it. You're like, okay, I've got the next 20 minutes, Ed or Leigh, you can get right into your victim mode right now and just like, woe is me. And then you're done. So I do like that. That's really cool. Sue is in the house. Hey, Mensch. Oh, not to be confused with, and how do you say, I always get your last name wrong. Munch. Okay. This is where if you could call me, it would be very helpful. You could hop on and just be like, because I know you were on the show before, Sue. And we had this conversation and then I butchered it again. You need a last name like hello. It's a little bit easier. But Mensch, someone who is honoring, kind, thoughtful, and has integrity. I like that. I really like that. I like that. Okay, so Mensch is like a Yiddish word, correct? Is it? And I kind of have so Mike is Jewish, but because none of my ancestors went through any of the struggles that like Mike's ancestors went through, I feel like I don't want to like really. I say oi and ove. I'm saying it and I'm saying it wrong, but when I say it, it makes sense and it's the right way to say it and it's the right wording. But then I feel like, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't be saying that. And so calling myself a mensch, I'm not sure that I'm going to feel comfortable doing that, but talk me into it because I really, really like that a lot. Okay. So honoring, kind, thoughtful, and has integrity. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. That's a contender. Oh, and then Sue says, Minch. Okay. Well, why is there a U in it? I always want to like be respectful of all of the letters in your name. Okay, so Sue Minch. Easy, thank you. And then she also says, no, actually it's German. Really? I did not know that. Okay, wonderful. Well, now I feel even better. Okay, then I will use that. Britt says, by the way, your eyes make the stone fireplace pop with light blue. Okay, so if you guys are new to the show, Britt, usually every show will find something that is matching. My eyes or my hair or my shirt or the broccoli in my teeth, whatever it is, you'll find something that's matching usually the background of some sort. So I love it. I wasn't going to call you out, but I was like, wow, I haven't heard that yet today, but I got it. Thank you. You're so awesome. Okay, so Ed says, I am no expert with grief. I spent years here we go, years to bearing my emotions. It never worked. So I have learned to allow me to feel my emotions when I need to, but I need to set a time limit. Yes, absolutely. And you know what another good thing is, Ed, is sometimes like not even setting the alarm or like a time limit, but like today is the day that I get to just be in a shit show and it's fine. And I feel like letting yourself just have the day, but then just knowing that, okay, you know what? Tomorrow when I wake up, tomorrow will be a different day. And tomorrow I'm going to get out of bed and I'm going to at least go for a walk in the morning just to try to shake it up. And then we're going to see what the day is. But giving yourself like the grace to have a day, especially when you're going through this kind of stuff, but telling yourself that you're not going to have two in a row, I think is really good. And then what has happened for me when that happens is because it's like, because I've given myself, like allowed myself to have the full day, it like clears up quicker because it's like you're not fighting it. What do they say? What you resist, you persist. So that might be a good strategy too, is to kind of like say, okay, today is a write-off. I'm going to just feel all the feelings. And then who knows, maybe in an hour it'll go away or it'll subside and you'll be able to go and do something else. So just a thought. Let us go through here. I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. This is so good. You guys, I'm so happy that you're here. Okay, so Pop says, I like mensch, but it's because I was given the definition. Most won't know, in my opinion. Yes, I know, which I also kind of like because then I'm teaching. Yeah, I've heard so many people say, oh, you're such a mensch. I actually have a friend that she used to call me a mensch. Like I would say something and she would just be like, oh, you're such a mensch. And in the beginning, when I heard it, I was like, oh, what does that mean? Because I thought she was not being nice to me. And then I was like, oh my gosh, that's really nice. But usually when I hear you're such a, I usually don't have good terms after that follow. And then Sue says, because I'm just difficult. That's why they use there. I love you. I love you so much. Okay, so I think we're caught up with comments for now, but keep coming because it is my favorite part. So I made some notes about how purpose kind of relates to like how they are connected to our story theme. Okay. So I'm going to kind of like run through some of the things that I was thinking, some of the things that I was putting together, some of the thoughts that I wanted to discuss. And as I'm doing that, I want you guys, if something hits you and you're like, I do not agree, or what does that mean? Or you have a story that you want to share or whatever, as always, please just stop me and throw them in there and we'll pull them up. Okay. So, one of the things, with our stories, I think they absolutely define our purpose because the words that we're using, that we're talking to ourselves, that is, we're deciding what our purpose is because nobody can tell us what our purpose is, why we were here, right? The majority of the ways that we find out why we're really here is by listening to our inner voice. And our inner voice is, unfortunately, it's created by two things. It's our intuition, it's a bigger power, it's that little voice inside of us. But then also it's like stories that we've heard from the outside. And so if we're not careful, we talked about this last week, if we're not careful, we can feed into those other stories that teachers told us, that our parents told us, that society told us. And then we can take that and then build a purpose, quote unquote, of what we're supposed to do, who we're supposed to be, based on those stories instead of who we actually are. So that's why it's really imperative, like super important for us to really be thinking about the stories that we're telling ourselves. What is that narrative? What are the things that we're talking about? And remind me to tell you, I shared it in our Facebook group today because I was so proud of myself, but it was really all the stories that I was telling myself that I got. Something really cool happened today, and I'll share that story in a minute, but here we go. So Britt says, I'll admit, being a Southerner skews my opinion as we don't have Yiddish except on TV. Okay, that's fair. That's totally fair. So you can come up. I haven't decided. I haven't landed on mensch, but I like it. But if you can come up with something else, then we'll work on that too. just remember, it's about happiness. It's always out of the lens of happiness. So, and then you guys know me well enough to like what label, although I hate labels, but unfortunately you need them. What label could I put on to kind of show who I am and what you get when you have services with me? Because that's kind of like, I know what you're going to feel, at least I know what I hope you're going to feel. And I want to kind of tie that all up in a word. So no pressure. Ed says, time limit is my norm, but it varies. I agree. I need to give myself grace as well. I will give me a day if needed. I just won't let it go till bedtime. I will do something before bed to probably change your feelings around that. I would imagine change your mindset. So then when you're going to bed, you're more grateful. That I think is a really good, I mean, you haven't finished it, but it's coming. I know. So thank you for stopping and going so I could read it. I'll read the rest of his comment in a moment, but I really do like that. So, yes, giving yourself the whole day. And that's a really good point. At the very end of the day, for you to be able to be grateful, even in the hard times, even when the shit is there and it's just like, this was a horrible day and I have nothing to be grateful for. Like just the fact that you can put your head on the pillow, something to be grateful for, you know? Even if that pillow is a hospital pillow, you're able to be still alive. That is something to be grateful for. So we need to start having that a little bit more. So Ed says, I will do something to change my mood. There you go. So whether that's music or meditate, reach out to a friend, shower, etc. Yes, those are all amazing. Ed, that's a really good thing. Thank you for mentioning that, because before we go to bed, I was saying, that we won't wake up that way, but you're right. The way that we go to bed is usually the way that we wake up. So we really can prime ourselves for a good day the night before. Britt says, smile teacher, oh smiles, smile provisioner, or wait, the happy mensch. Ooh, I kind of like that. I kind of really like that. Because what I was also going to be like kind of playing with was the happy stoic. I haven't researched, like I haven't studied stoicism enough, but every time that I read something about it or hear something about it, I'm like, man, I really resonate with stoicism. So I was kind of thinking about like calling myself the happy stoic, but I like the happy mensch. Okay, so that will be an aside for today. That go ahead, you guys can continue that conversation, because this was not intended. I literally did not think that I was going to be asking this. But that's the awesome things about conversations. You never know what comes up. So, okay. So what were some of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about? I'm just reading through my notes really quickly, not out loud. Okay. Yes. So I started writing about limiting beliefs. I started writing about like our purpose and how our meaning is defined, how we define our meaning, how we define what happy means to us, But here's a story that I want to share, and then we can like get into a little bit more. But here's a story. So today, a couple of days ago, I decided that I am going to do the full marathon in October. So I've got 2 months to prepare for a marathon. And I was going back and forth. I wanted to do it. I signed up for it. I paid for it. I did all the things for it. But then I was like, Mike can't do it. So then I was like, well, maybe I just defer to 2025 too. And, it's going to be a lot easier. I'm so busy. Where would I find time to train? Blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, no, these are all excuses. Like I can train and it'll only be better for me. Like the last time I really trained for a marathon was probably 4 years ago. And that was the most mentally tough kind of thing that I did. And that's where my growth really started taking off. And I feel like this is going to be a really fun experiment to really kind of push me to the next limit. So, or the next level, I guess. And so I've decided to do that. So today, okay, so Ed has Squirrel. So Ed has some more. Guided happiness, happiness compass, or happiness trainer. Ooh, I kind of like the trainer too. I like that one. Okay. Okay. Or happy trainer. Okay. All right. And then maybe in the Friendly Show Facebook group, we will do like a poll and we'll see what you guys are thinking. Okay. Back to our purpose and our stories. So this morning, I was walking to work. It usually takes me about half an hour doorstep to doorstep. And I put like a bunch of stuff in my backpack and I went rucking is what it's called. It's like a military term. And so I put the backpack first, I put it on my back, but then I was like really hunched because it was super heavy. And so I wore it in the front of me and that made me have really good posture. And I walked for the half an hour. And I was like, oh, this isn't too bad. Like I was more sweaty than I usually am. And I was a little more winded than I usually am. So it was a better workout, but I was like, this is fine. This is not a big deal. So then I went through the whole day working, doing all the things that I need to do. And then on the way home, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to walk home and I'm going to ruck again. And I had a little bit more things because my mom and dad always like, I work out of my parents' house. And so my mom and dad are always like, take this. Oh, I found this. Do you want this? Have this for your home. So I'm always bringing something home. And so it was a little bit heavier on the way back. And now it's the end of the day. And I didn't realize, but like my energy was a lot lower. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to beat my score. I want to beat the 30 minutes. I want to get home as quickly as I can and see how fast I can go. And every time, you guys, that like my shoulder started hurting or not hurting, but feeling uncomfortable. Or yeah, at one time, like my knee just had like a little bit of a twitch to it. Then I like could feel that my story was, oh my gosh, maybe you should watch it. Maybe you should slow down. Maybe you should go back. Maybe you should have, somebody pick you up, whatever. Like that's the story that I would start for like a millisecond. And then I was like, no, you can do this. A couple times I was like, literally talking out loud and being like, Leanne, you can do this. You got this. You can beat your score. You can beat your time. Come on. You got this. Yeah, you can do it. And like, that was the narrative. That was the story that I was having. And then it made me push even faster and even better. You guys. Okay. So when I've been walking with my friends, I've been pacing and to see what my pace was. If I do this or when I do this marathon, it's a timed marathon and you will be kicked out. There's a shuttle that'll pick you up and say, I'm sorry, you're too slow. You can't finish the race. It's just the way it is. It has to because they close down the streets. And if you're slow, then you're not going to be able to be there while the streets are closed. So I totally get it. So I have to do the full 26.2 miles in under 6.5 hours. Okay. I've done it before, but I've done it at like 7.5 hours, 8 hours, like that. So I haven't been able to do it, but I've never done it by myself. I've always done it with other people. Parts of it have been by myself, but other people have been like, oh, I'm going to help you. I'm going to walk with you, which was really nice and very kind. But my stride is I am a pretty fast walker. So I've been timing it the last week just to see where I'm at because it has to be at a 14.5 minute mile. In order for me to do this, I should be shooting for a 14-minute mile. And I've been looking at it even with my faster friend that's kind of a runner. When she walks, it's 17-minute miles and 18-minute miles. And I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to shave 3 minutes off of this time? So when I did it today, at the end of the day, with a backpack on, I did 15.5 minute miles. I was so proud of myself, you guys. And that was all because of the stories I told myself. I kept saying, you can do this. You can beat your score. You can beat it. You can beat it. You can get a fast time right now. Just do it. You've got it. And I didn't know, the other thing is that I didn't know how heavy my backpack was. I didn't measure it. I was just like, oh, okay, it feels pretty heavy. It was 23 pounds that I was carrying. And then at the end, I live on the 6th floor of my condo. I took the stairs with the backpack and went up. I felt so amazing. I was like on fire. And it was all because of the stories I was telling myself that I could do it. But it would have been very easy for me to tell the opposite story and not be able to do those. So those are little goals that I had today that I made up along the way. But it was my story that got me through. And that's the way that it is with everything, with our purpose, with our meaning, with the way we're going to show up every day. It is the story that we're telling ourselves. That's how we frame our day, whether we want to believe it or not. But we can frame, we always talk about happiness is a choice. It is, but it starts with the stories that we're telling ourselves. So, okay, here we go. Ba-ba-da-da. Brit says, wow, that's a huge commitment and a huge accomplishment when done. Massive respect from this guy. Well, thanks, Britt. Thank you. I will tell you, knowing the moment that I committed to doing it, for me, that's half the game. So for me, it's done. Now I just have to like go through the motions. Now I just have to like beat my time. I just have to do the things. I printed myself off an agenda where they were like, I think it was a 13-week program for you to be ready for a marathon. I started 3 weeks in because I only have 10 weeks left, I think. But I just started at the week 3 or it was in the week 3, because that's where I have to be in order to be at the end where the marathon is. And so now it's just done. I just have to fill in each day doing the things that they ask you to do. So it's pretty cool. Like I'm pretty excited about it, but thank you, Brett. I really appreciate it. And Ed says, there is something special about marathons. It's a great personal challenge and allows introspection. Long time ago, I trained to walk a half marathon at 500 pounds. Dude, that's so amazing. That is so amazing. Did you end up doing the half marathon? I'm really curious. Oh, yes. Okay. So he did. Keep reading, Leanne. I did it in 4.5 hours. I recently walked 25 kilometers in 3 hours at 320 pounds. I can't believe what it did for my self-love and belief in myself. Boom. Boom. And in the beginning, so when you set out to do this, Ed, when you set out to do the half marathon or the 25 kilometers, what was your self-talk? Because my guess is it wasn't, there's no way that I can do this. There's no way I'm going to hurt myself. There's no way that I can do this. I'm sure that came up through the training that you get nervous. Excuse me. I'm sure that happens. But in the beginning, when you made the commitment, when you made the decision, what were the stories you were telling yourself? I would love to know. So Sarah is in the house. Hello, Sarah. Hi. Okay. So Sarah says, joyful stoic. Ooh, I do like that. I do like it. Thrive with joyful stoic. Ooh, I like that. And then happiness hub. I actually, in the first iteration of the Facebook group, I called it the happiness hub, I think. Happiness hub or happy hub. I like that. All right, I got to put these all together. The joyful, I do like joyful and I like joy, but I think I want to keep it more on the happy because of the acronym. That's my only thing, because I want to have like the H period, A period, P period, blah, blah, blah. So that's my only thought. But I do like that thrive with the happy stoic. Like if I put that together. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you. Britt says, wow, the story thing is so relatable. Even more, sorry I missed last week. Well, watch the replay, Britt. It's not as fun though, because you're not part of the show when you watch the replay, but still, tell me more about your story, like the stories, why this is hitting you and it's relatable. Britt, I love your stories and how you look at life. So Ed says, oh no, bring it back up. Ed says, by the way, when I said bring it back up, I do not have somebody in the studio doing the work for me. I was talking to myself because I brought it back down. Okay. So Ed says, who knows, maybe I can do the same distance in under 2 hours in my 70s. If not, I work hard on self-esteem. That is awesome. Yes. We can do anything. Like it is unbelievable. Oh, and this is what I love. So Britt has never met Ed in real life, but they're friends now on here. And he was like, same respect to you, Ed. That's awesome, you guys. Okay. So Hello, GZ doctor. I did not look into what we needed to look into for Twitch. I'm going to, but boy, it's difficult. Okay, so I really have to get a YouTube thing. I started looking at TikTok. I think I'm going to start an TikTok page. I don't know what it's called, like a TikTok profile for the Friendly Show. So also let me know, you guys, there's quite a few of you here. If I did a TikTok, I don't think we can stream the show to it, but would you guys pay attention to that during the week if I did it? Because it seems kind of fun, actually. I started doing it for my Happy Nails business. And I'm actually really enjoying the videos and stuff that I'm doing there. So I'm thinking for the Friendly Show, I think that might be really cool. So let me know what you think about TikTok. Just curious. So, GZ, your thing has been up here on the screen for a while. So let me read it. I'm sorry. So here we go. Were you wearing AirPods? What music were you listening to? And do you believe the tempo of the music pushed people to work harder during a workout versus listening to classical music? Ooh, okay. I love these questions. So this is awesome, GZ. You always have the best questions because you really make me think about like what we're talking about. Okay, so I'm going to keep this up here. And then Ed, also, if you want to answer this on like for when you were doing your workouts, were you listening to AirPods and or like earbuds or whatever? And what kind of music were you listening to? And did it affect your workout? So I'll tell you my experience. My experience is 100% the music I listen to changes the speed at which I walk. 100%. I have done the testing and it is absolutely true. So today, when I beat my score, I was not listening to a thing. I was just listening to me. I was having a complete internal dialogue with myself the whole time because I was going to be like, oh, I think I was listening to a podcast. I was not. I was listening to the Friendly Show in my head. It was me telling myself that I could do it. So it's funny that you're saying that because if I was listening to my music at a faster speed, would I have been able to do it quicker? Maybe, probably actually. So now I don't know the difference between listening to something at a higher tempo or listening to classical music, because classical music, it does have a profound effect on you. For me, though, classical music helps me focus. It helps me with my ADHD. If I need to be in a mode, and I actually have always been like this. So even in high school and university, I did not know that I had ADHD, but I knew that if I had to study for something, I had a CD. Actually, I probably still have it here. I had a double CD. Remember the CDs that would open up and it would have like a CD on one flap and a CD on the other, and you'd like open it up. Anyway, who cares? So I had a double CD of Mozart, and it was like his greatest hits. And I would listen to that, and that really helped me focus. Would it help me walk as fast? For me, I don't think so, unless there was a way for me to listen to classical music maybe at a faster speed. But I'll tell you, when I listen to podcasts, even I was listening to a podcast the other day when I was walking, and I did really well. Actually, that might have been my best speed because I think I did get here. No, because I got here in 22 minutes. Today I got 25 minutes, but today was from doorstep to doorstep, but I also did the stairs. And that 22 minutes was actually doorstep to the main floor. I didn't get up to the 6th floor. So I think it was probably the same speed. Anyway, who cares? You guys don't care about that detail. That day I was listening to my podcast and I was listening to it, I think at 3.5 speed. So that made me go faster. But what I do when I'm walking and I'm like really trying to get my speed up, and thank you very much for the reminder because I haven't done this in a while. I actually have a playlist that I think I had it at 180 beats per minute, and it helps you go faster. So you can look up like the speed that you want to be and then the tempo that you need. And there's playlists that have music that's right at that tempo. So that's my own opinion. We will see where other people are at. Okay. So awesome question. Please keep them coming. Those are the questions that I love. I mean, I love all these questions really, but that one really made me think. So thank you. Ed says, self-talk was horrible right up until about halfway through. Okay, so my question, okay, hold on. I'll read your thing, Ed, and then I want you to answer this question. So, about halfway through, my self talk is my worst enemy. That is why I need the action to stop the noise. Okay, so why did you decide to do a half marathon? Like, how did you start training if your self talk was that you couldn't do it? Like, you were just, was it a challenge? Did somebody challenge you, or why did that happen, or how did that happen? That's fascinating to me. Okay, so Britt says it's relatable because even looking back on bad decisions, there was a bad or negative excuse or story that I told myself just to get past the bad part where I actually had to think about it. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, these stories, man, like the stories that we tell ourselves, it is fascinating how if we can become aware of the stories that we're telling ourselves, let me kind of put this down. If we can become aware of the stories that we're telling ourselves and then tell us a better story, oh my gosh, we would literally be unstoppable. Literally be unstoppable. And I've been talking to you guys about the work that I'm doing with my coach, and it's you know, writing down the negative thoughts that you have and then coming up with the truth about that thought, because usually there's like, it's not truthful what we're telling ourselves. We're just like jerks to ourselves. And then now the next step is writing I am statements for who I want to be living into or who I know I am. So that's just such a really great thing for you guys to be doing too. Okay, so Sarah says, wait, I just pushed it. Why didn't, okay, there it comes. Sarah says, going live on TikTok would be so cool. Think of how many people you could help. I know. So that really excites me because I'm just like, oh my gosh, there are TikToks where people are going live and they're like eating food, or they're like, oh, look how gross this is. Or, oh, I saw this accident. Like I saw one today that was like, this is an incredible accident that happened in Scarborough. And it was like this car that was like flipped over and the airbags. And I'm like, why are we spending our time consuming this kind of content? Like, so that's exactly what I thought, Sarah. I was like, oh my gosh, the moment I can go live in there and it pushes out to people that don't even know me, like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to help like just a ton of people. Cause I really, really hope, the only reason why I do it, when I do the lives in the Friendly Show, I really do hope that it is helping, you know? And I will never stop that because I love our community, but it would be so cool to be able to have a reach that far. So the only thing is with TikTok, you need 1,000 followers in order for you to be able to go live. So that's going to be something to build up to. But yes, I can't wait, Sarah. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so awesome. Okay, so Ed says, for me, the music must be high energy and loud. I will actually listen to metal, acid metal, something similar. Classical, jazz, or indie music is what I listen to when I want to focus. Oh, nice. I like that. I like indie music too. Yeah. And classical, jazz, all of it. So good. Acid metal though, that's interesting. That's really interesting. For me, I'll tell you the things that I've listened to. I typically, when I'm running, and by running, I mean fast walking because I don't run. But when I am doing that exercise, I'm sure it's annoying. Like if, whatever, who cares? It's not annoying for me and you guys don't have to listen to it. But I literally listen to like the same 3 or 4 songs on repeat, just blah, 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 blah. Cause then I'm not really thinking about it. I'm just singing it. And I remember when I was training back in 2020, for the first marathon that I did, I was listening to Meghan Trainor like over and over and over and over again. And there is one song that's called, the beat the drum or something like that. Something about a drum. I don't know. Anyway, I can't remember it now, but I can remember it was like so boom, 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 boom. And it was awesome. Like I would listen to that and I would just be on fire. I can still remember like my heart rate was just like, yeah, okay. And my feet were like going to that beat. And so it was making me go faster, pretty cool. Okay. So good, Ed. Thank you. Britt says, and I agree with Ed about self talk being an enemy. Yeah, you guys, we are so mean to ourselves. Like, if you've done all the work and you're really kind to yourself, like, give yourself a big hug right now, because that is like, that's the magic. That right there. I heard somebody tell me, I was saying something, I can't remember. This was like a few years back. And I said something, and they stopped me in my tracks and said, "Would you tell me that to my face?" And I was like, "I just did. I just told you that I'm a." She goes, "No, not that I'm a. Would you tell me that I am?" She says, "Not that you are." And I was like, "No, I would never say that to you." And she's like, "Then why are you saying it to you?" And when she did that, I was like, uh, you're right. That sucks. Like, why am I talking to myself that way if I would never speak?" And this woman, she just came into my life, I think, to give me that message, because I barely knew her. I don't even remember her name. I just remember sitting across the table from her, and we had just met, and we said, "Hey, let's go for a drink." And we just met. We went for a drink. We talked. We hung out for like maybe a couple weeks. And then that was it. It was kind of like dating. Like, it just didn't work out. But that was the message that she gave me. And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I had heard it before, like, don't talk to yourself, only talk to yourself the way that you would talk to children or the way that you would talk to your best friend. But when she said that and said, "Look me in the eye and tell me I'm that way," I was like, I can't do that. It was fascinating. So yeah, I have been my worst enemy. Mike has been able to really call me out on the things that I'm thinking, because when I say them out loud or just in passing or just under my breath, he's like the word police, where he's like, "Is that how you want to feel? Is that what you want to believe?" So it's really good. And that's what we need to get into, a habit of being able to say, "Is that what I want to feel? Is that what I want to believe?" Okay, so Ed says, "It was suggested for me to play outside the box. Challenge my beliefs and self-talk is important for my self-esteem. Had some issues before exams, interviews, first dates, etc." Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. Britt says, "Okay, same but different. When I stream my racing, I need something upbeat to help me drive faster." Really? Okay, I could totally see that. Absolutely, I could see that. So what that all is, you guys, it has it absolutely, like, music. I'm hoping, going to be reading a book. No, I'm not going to be able to look the book up, but in the Facebook group, I will post it in there. There was a book that was suggested in our book club. Ed, if you can look it up, that would be cool. One of the guys suggested a book, and it's about how music affects our mood, our mental health, our history. Like, it affects so much. And they're doing so many studies about how music, like, we've got one friend that her dad is kind of goes in and out of, it's like, I think he's got dementia. It's one of those that he's in and out of it. But when he listens to music from when he was younger, he's completely lucid, together, in the moment. When he's not listening to that music, it's harder. He's kind of like out of it. Music can really tap into our core. And so music can also, they say that, like, if you're really feeling, like we were talking at the beginning of the show about grief, or, you've had a heartbreak, or you've had whatever fill in the blank bad feeling, having like happy music won't get you out of it. It's going to, well, sometimes I shouldn't say that. Maybe for you it would. For most people, it won't get you out of it because it doesn't align with what you're feeling. And so it just is irritating. It's like, turn that shit off. All it is noise, because it doesn't relate to where I am. But if you're having a really down moment and you can listen to music that is at that tempo that can meet you there, and that could start there and then build to be happier, music can actually help you get out of depression, help you get out of these moments. but it does not work for most people to be in a depressive state or to be grieving or to be upset and listen to, come on now, everybody get happy. And like, you can't do that because you're just like, screw you. I'm done. I'm miserable. I don't want to listen to your shit. So music is really profound, but it has to meet you where you are, or it has to meet you where you want to be. If you're feeling miserable, but you want to be happy, you want to get to that other place, you're done in the grief that you want to move out, that's a different story. Then you can listen to the music that you love. Then you can go and look for, Pink, or Pink's one of my favorite, Pink or Meghan Trainor or Ella Fitzgerald or whoever it is. You can go and listen to their music and it can get you out because that's where you want to be. But if you are in that mode where you just want to be in your grief, then listening to that won't help. Let's see where else we are. So Ed says, since the half marathon, I enjoy challenging my self-talk. I actually believe the volume of my self-talk is quieter. That's a win. Awesome. Because I'm going to say it's awesome because I'm thinking that you're saying that your volume of your negative self-talk is quieter, because for me, my level or my volume of my positive self-talk and my motivating self-talk is loud, and I need it to be loud because there's still that playing of I'm not good enough and who's going to listen to me and don't waste people's time and you don't have a degree in this and all of those things play. So my positive self-talk and my motivational self-talk has to be louder. So I'm just guessing that you were talking about your negative self-talk, which is awesome. Okay. So Ed also says, I can't know for sure. Childhood sexual, emotional, and physical abuse and grief from losing my dad and my wife. Self-talk led to my self-harm attempts. So I needed to challenge my self-talk. Yes, absolutely. The self-talk is absolutely fascinating. Like, because a lot of the time it's not coming from who we really are. It's coming from stories and stories from the outside. And it's also coming from how we feel, because we feel less than. We feel like we're not worthy. And none of that is true. And we talk about that all the time. So yeah, challenging your self-talk, that is amazing. I'm so proud of you, Ed. Sue Minch says, a televised Harry Chapin concert saved my life years ago. Really? Oh, wow. Okay. That's fascinating. You can go ahead and tell me more about that. Ed says, to live and search for my purpose. Oh, so I needed to challenge my self-talk to live and search for my purpose. Yes, absolutely. Because your self-talk at that point was that you're done. And that's why you had those attempts. And I'm so glad, I've told you this before, I'm so glad that you were failing at those attempts, because now we get to have you here. And I just couldn't imagine life without you. Britt says, I have another same but different, but as a question. What about a movie? There was a time when I would need to have a good cry and would watch Return to Me and bawl my eyes out. Yes, absolutely. So again, here is a perfect time for me to give my disclaimer. Sometimes I give it at the beginning of the show. Sometimes I give it at the end. And sometimes I give it just in the middle when I'm reminded that I'm starting to get on my soapbox. I'm starting to talk like I know what I'm talking about. I am talking from my own experience, from my own view of life. I am not a healthcare professional, nor do I pretend to be one. And even the views or the opinions or the ideas that you get from the people that are in the audience. We've got healthcare professionals that are in the audience, but they don't know you. They don't know your medical history. They don't know anything about you other than what you're sharing in the show. And so even if you're like, oh my goodness, but I'm pretty sure that she's a therapist, you can't take what she says as direct information for you. So this show is meant for entertainment and informational purposes, educational purposes, but not as a healthcare diagnosis or treatment or anything like that. So that is my little disclaimer. So there we go. So now, that being said, Britt, I will say I do think that movies can absolutely bring you into the mood that you want to be in, or help you stay in the mood that you want to be in. So yeah, I think that's awesome that if he needed a good cry, he would put that on. In fact, I have the most of the time, I'm actually trying to think if there was a time that I've seen Mike cry that was not from media. I think only maybe once or twice. All the rest of the times that I have seen that man cry, it has been because of a movie or because of a song. And usually the songs are because he's then thinking of, an experience or me or something, and then he gets teary-eyed. But I have made a list on my notes in my phone, and it's called Emotional Media. And it's all the things that has made him cry. And I've put the date of when he cried and where we were and what he said about the media that we either watched or that we listened to. Because I do think it's really powerful that if you need to cry, crying gets rid of so much cortisol, the stress hormone in our body. I used to kind of like say, okay, I don't want to cry. I want to just move through this. And I would like hold back tears. And that is like one of the worst things. It's kind of like holding back vomit. Like if you've got, sorry, like gross, but if you have to throw up and you're like, I'm not going to, I'm going to hold it in. And then you like, it goes back in and then you end up having, what is that called? There's like a word for it where you end up like swallowing your own throw up. And then you're like, you can die from it. Like you can get toxic, you can die, you can get sick. Think about that when you hold back your tears. Like you literally can get sick, but when you get sick from not throwing up, I mean, this is so gross, guys. I'm so sorry. It's physical and you can see it and you can see it immediately. But when you hold back your tears, you're burying that and you're building up more cortisol and you're just making everything worse and you're getting a little bit sicker as you're doing that. So if you feel the urge to cry, like hot damn cry. And Britt, if that means that you got to put Return to Me on, put Return to Me on, sit in there and get a Kleenex and just get snotty about it, because I think it's so good, because we all feel good after a good cry. And that's why, because it's a complete release of cortisol. So awesome. Britt says, I was just going to look at the camera. Let me read what Britt says, but I can't see it there. So I got to come here. So anyway, Britt says, laugh out loud. The song that gets me is Don't Take the Girl. I don't know that song. Probably actually I would know it if I heard it, right? Probably, but I don't know. GZ says, was one of the movies he cried Saving Private Ryan? I don't know, because I did not watch that with him. One of the movies that made him cry was, what was it called? Scrooged. Is that the one? Is that the Christmas one? That made him cry. We watched that our first Christmas together. And it was a really emotional day because I didn't want to like leave my family, because that meant that like I wasn't going to see them on Christmas. It was the first Christmas in like 40 years that I wasn't going to spend Christmas morning with them. And it was like really sad for me, but I also wanted to be with Mike. And that was during TMI. Oh my gosh. You guys get to know me very closely. Anyway, and it was a very like emotional time. And so we decided that we would watch a movie, like a Christmas movie, and that was on. And so, or maybe he chose it and he started crying through it. So I think it was a combination of the movie and then also what we were going through. But the movie is what kind of did it for us. So, okay, let me see what else is happening here. So, and also, GZ, is that one of the movies that make you cry? Saving Private Ryan? So Ed says, swallowing food or vomit can go into the lungs, and it's called aspiration pneumonia. Yes, that's aspiration. So that's what I was thinking, right? It's super bad for you. And so don't hold back your tears, people. Britt says, don't have to read on stream. Don't have to read on stream. Oh, okay. Sorry, I put it up. Can I read it on screen? Okay, so this is the first time that that's happened. So that's one of the things that I was going to say. When a comment comes up, I just automatically see the box and then I put it up, and then I read it. So there's really no getting around it. Email me, the friend Leigh show at gmail.com if you want to tell me something privately that you do not want to come up on the screen, because otherwise that is going to happen. But Britt says, sure. Okay, so thank you. So Britt says, don't have to read on stream, meaning Leanne, don't pull it up. Oops. It says, Johnny's daddy was taking him fishing when he was 8 years old. A little girl came through the front gate holding a fishing pole. His dad looked down and smiled, said, we can't leave her behind, son. I know you don't want her to go, but someday you'll change your mind. Wait, is that from the movie that you saw? Is that the one? Is that the moment that made you cry? Oh, okay. Well, that sounds like it's a movie that I'm going to probably want to watch. Okay. So anyway, is that? So here we go. Okay. Ed says, oh, no, squirrel. Britt says that that's the song, Don't Take the Girl. Okay. I don't know that song. Is it a country song? It sounds like a country song. So yeah, no, I don't know that song. So I'll have to look it up and see. Let me know who the artist is. Ed says, not sure if this is normal. Well, first of all, what's normal? But I don't know if this is normal. I have seen people die, seen tragedies in a hospital, and not cried. Yet a movie or song can make me bawl. Absolutely, I think that's normal. And again, like, what is normal? But Ed, I absolutely think that's normal, because I don't think crying is like a binary kind of thing. Like, this happens, everybody will cry. This happens, nobody will cry. Like, I cry over things that I'm like, why did that make me cry? That was weird. And then I hear news of people that died and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so sad. No cries, no tears, right? I see something, same thing. I see an accident and no tears. And then I could see like an almost accident that nothing actually happened and bawling my eyes out. So I think there's probably a lot of research. I don't know any of the research, but I'm sure there's research about how crying, like, it really is like a specific kind of like chemistry of like all the things that are going on. Like, if you're, I don't know, if you're in a really good heightened state, will you cry more than if you're at a like mediocre state? For me, I feel like if I'm at a really high energy level and something happens, for me, I feel like I'd be more apt to cry because I'm right up there in a high emotion. Where if I'm in like a, all right, life is what it is, then if I get news, then it's like, yep, that sucks. It is what it is, right? Because it's like you're just kind of on that even keel, where if you're super heightened, it's like what they say, the opposite of love is not hate, it's apathy or whatever. I don't even know what the opposite of it is, but it's not hate. Because if you hate something, you're right up there in that heightened emotion. And so you have passion for it. And usually you only hate people that you also really care for, that you're just angry, right? So like all of those are up at the top. Anyway, okay. So, Britt says it's a Tim McGraw song. Well, I know Tim McGraw songs. Okay. So I'll have to look that up. And then Britt also says, yes, it's apathy. I thought so. And then I questioned myself. I don't know why. GZ says, I haven't seen people cry when they are happy. Oh, I have seen people cry when they are happy. When I read that as haven't seen, I was like, well, you just wait, be on the show a little bit more often, because I cry when I'm happy. But yeah, absolutely. This is so wonderful. It's making me cry. It's that whole heightened emotion. I'll probably end up deep diving into crying one day. That's not what I was expecting to talk about so much today, which I love. But I probably will like squirrel down that road a little bit. It says, I did not cry when I saw my dad and my wife die in front of me. I did not cry at their funeral. It was not shock either. Yet an emotional story, song, movie makes me cry. Yeah, I think that's normal. Like, I mean, again, I sound like a broken record. What is normal? But I mean, there's probably a lot there about like all the trauma that you've been through and what your body has, like when we read The Body Keeps the Score, you've learned how to kind of push down that emotion because it was a survival mechanism for the trauma that you've had while you were a kid. So then your body just keeps score that it's like, oh, something traumatic happens. We don't emote. Like we don't have emotion around that. And so then now in your adulthood, and again, I'm not a therapist. I don't know. I'm just kind of speaking from what I believe. Now that's the therapy, or that's the coping mechanism that your body has created. And so that's probably why you can't cry during those things, because you haven't moved through that. You've done a lot of work, Ed, personally, I know you have, but you just haven't done the work to work on that part of it. It's that onion. There's layer, 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 right? And that's why you have those emotions inside of you. So you have to wait until you're safe to be able to cry. And that's why when you're cozy in your bedroom and you're not in fight or flight, now you're able to cry. And you're probably not crying over the movie only or the song only. You're crying because of all the other things that have come up, that the cortisol, you need to cry. You haven't been able to get it out. And it's like, oh, there's my floodgate there. I'm going to let that go, because water always finds a least path of resistance, right? So that's what it's doing there. And again, not a healthcare professional, but I do believe that that's probably good, and probably part of what's happening. Sue Minch, I'm always going to call you by your last name now. Sue Minch says it's indifference, right? That's what it is. That is what it is. Yes. So the opposite of love is indifference, where you just don't care. It's just like there's nothing. It's just, meh. It's not even not caring. It's just indifferent. Thank you, Sue. Sue also says death, we feel we have to be strong for others. That's a good point too. Absolutely. Really good point. Okay, really interesting. So you guys, we're an hour and 6 minutes into this. And I did say that we would do like a couple of like the fire question. What is that called? Rapid fire questions. So if with your permission, we'll go a little bit longer and we'll just do a couple of the questions. We won't do like full out. But we'll do a couple of the questions because I do every here we go. Like I do every week, I asked our friend ChatGPT for some questions. And this is how I worded it. I said, can you please give me some fun questions together for me to get to know my friends a little better? And I want them to be centered around happiness and purpose and the narratives we hold around this. So here are the questions. I'll just read the first ones that are there and then you guys can answer them and I will answer them first. So while you guys are typing, there's not dead air. Okay. So we'll just do the first three. I have not read them, so they're new to me. So we'll see if they're good. If they're not, that's fine. So what's a story that you've told yourself that has brought you the most happiness? Ooh, that's a good one. Okay. So you can answer that one. You don't have to answer all of them. You can answer 1, 2, or 3 of these. So that one. Number 2 is, how do you define your purpose in life? And has that story changed over time? Okay, these are deep. These are like, maybe you need to think about these ones. But what I would say is just answer them right out of your heart. Like, even if you're not sure if that's the right answer, just what do you think when I say that? And then number 3, is there a narrative you've let go of that has made room for more joy or fulfillment? Okay, so that's a good one. So you guys go ahead and write your answers to 1, 2, or 3 of those, and I will start answering them. And I'm going to just answer them. Some of them I've really thought a lot about, especially question number 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read the question and then answer it just right away, because I don't want to think too much, because then I think about like all the things that I've been thinking about. And I'm curious to watch this in the replay and see what my answers are, because I don't know. So what's a story you've told yourself that has brought you the most happiness? I think believing, the story that I bring joy to people and I make people feel good, that always makes me feel really happy. There's probably a better answer. Like if I could pull like Mike in here, I could be like, hey, answer these questions for me. What do you see about me? But for me, I think that's one of the stories that when I believe that to be true, and I think about stories about, you know, there was a story, and I've shared all the, like, not all the stories, but I've shared a lot of the stories about the guy that was living on the street that was pretending to be the gold man in California. And we had a really great exchange, even though he didn't talk because he was a mime. And he was so joyful. Me knowing that I brought some of that joy to him, those stories really make me happy. Those are the ones. How do you define your purpose in life? And has that story changed over time? I think so. I think so. I used to define the purpose in my life. It was more monetary. It was more like, I need to become a millionaire. I need to become an ad exec in New York. Like that was my purpose. So that made me really drive. And in my 20s, because that was my purpose, I think it really built a really strong work ethic for me. So I do not regret that I went through that stage of life. But now I'm realizing that my purpose really is to make people see their potential. It's really to help people see their true colors and who they are and what they can live into. And show them that it is possible to feel happiness and joy again. So yes, I think that's changed. I've always felt that way, but that's now more of a purpose for me. And then 3, is there a narrative that you've let go of that has made more room for joy or fulfillment? All or nothing. That is a story and a narrative that I still fall into because I lived it for so long. And you guys are probably like, oh, says the person that's going to be running a marathon. Yes, I'm going to be walking a marathon. I'm not running a marathon for my best time. The only time that I'm trying to beat is that I don't get kicked out of the marathon. That's it. So I'm not going to try to kill myself and become the fastest walker. Where it used to be try to be the best, try to be number one. And now one of my sayings, instead of all or nothing, is getting done is better than perfect. Being done is better than perfect. So, those are my 3 answers. So let's see what we've got. Okay, Sue's leaving. Bye. She's probably already gone, but she says bye, so that's okay. Indifference. Okay. So Britt says, let's see here. Sorry, you guys. I had it on a different screen. So here we go. So Britt says, okay, same, but still same. Laugh out loud. Apathy. Oh, I love you so much. Okay. So apathy. It's a noun. Lack of feeling or emotion. Impassiveness. And then 2, lack of interest or concern. Indifference. So indifferent or apathy, same thing. Thank you very much. Same. And then that's when Sue left. Sue was like, okay, bye-bye. That's not why. She was scheduled for an hour and I went over. So that's totally fine. Ed says, and by the way, she was not scheduled. She just knew that we usually only go for an hour. I did not tell her she had to be here for an hour. Okay. So Ed says, purpose changed over time. Before, I thought my purpose was something external, raising my son, achieving lifelong goals, reach a level at my career, etc. But now it's about my being who I was to be. Ooh, I like that. Being, sharing life experiences, connecting with others. It's how I am being and not my actions or accomplishments. Boom, boom. Agreed. I absolutely love that. And you guys, if you guys go over to the First Day Pod, you can go and look. I can't remember what episode it was, but Ed actually shared a lot of his story on the First Day Pod. So if you want to get to know Ed a little bit more, you can go over there and see that episode. It was really, really good. And sorry about this. This is like weird. The lighting's pretty good, so I don't know why that's happening. But anyway, Britt says, 1, Melanie actually loves me. Oh, okay. So Let me just remember what these questions were. This was so good. So the questions was, what's a story you've told yourself that has brought you the most happiness? And the answer to that from Britt says that Melanie actually loves me. Number 2 was, how do you define your purpose in life? And has it the story changed over time? He says, I'm here to serve. And it always comes back to that. That's good. And then number 3, is there a narrative that you've let go of that has made room for more joy or fulfillment? And he says, where is it? 3, I am in process of letting go of depression. Boom. So good, sir. Not to kiss up, but you are a part of this journey. Oh, not to kiss up. You can see I literally read word for word as it's coming out. Britt, that is so, so beautiful. And I am absolutely honored to be a part of your journey. That is so, GZ, if you're still here, this is where you get to see that people do cry when they're happy. So it's pretty cool. Okay. Okay, so that's cool. And we will continue on. Thank you for sharing, Britt. That's the reason for the show. That is absolutely the reason for the show. So awesome. And he says, boom, happy tears. Yes. Okay, so Ed says being shared. Oh, we already did this one. Okay, so thank you, Ed. I brought that up because I knew it was part of the other one. So that is a really nice way, Britt, to end the show. I love you guys so, so much. Big hugs to you all. I am so grateful that you guys are a part of my journey and that I'm a little part of yours as well. I can't wait to see you guys next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, whatever that is for you. In the meantime, if you want to email me, it's thefriendleeshow@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. If you have questions that you want answered, but you can't be there, but you want to watch it in the replay, just send me an email and I'll answer your questions to my best of my ability. And then you can watch it in the replay. And during the week, I do quite a few lives over on The Friendly Show in Facebook. Come on over and join us. It's free. It's fun. It's your baby. You can post all you want in there. I love you guys. And I want you all to have a wonderful, happy week. Bye.